Hello everyone, VegasFake1965, and in this week's video we are going to be looking at beacons. So without further ado, let's find out. Welcome back everyone, VegasFake1965, and I guess the first thing, most people probably already know what a beacon is, but to make a beacon you of course are going to need this, a nether star, which you can get by killing the wither. You also need 5 glass blocks and 3 obsidian to get that. So now to get a full beacon array, I like to use 5. I'm not a big fan of jump boost, so I don't mind going with just 5. But to get a full one with your haste 2, speed 2, jump 2, resistance 2, and then of course get your strength 2, and also the ability to regenerate, you will need to have a larger size tower. We're going to go over that in just a minute, but the number of blocks, the different types of blocks that you can use for this would be, of course, a diamond block, a gold block, an emerald block, and of course most of us are using iron blocks. But there is one at 1.16 that you will be able to use, and that is the netherite block. So taking a look at these, the bare minimum for to get a beacon or a status effect would be a 9 block. Of course, like I said, any combination of these can be mixed, can be all of one, but you're looking at 9 blocks here. And by placing your beacon on there with an unobstructed view, I must mention that right away, there cannot be anything to block other than a few other blocks that are out there that will prevent the beam from reaching the sky. And of course, the sky's the limit. And you can also add colors to these if you like. Just a moment. We'll add a color block there, and you can see it instantly changes to blue. So there's all kinds of different colors that you can put in there. Now the next block, and I'll go back over this smallest one first, has a 20 block range. That's left, right, up, and down, but the height has no limit. Our next one, which has a 30 block range, right, left, up, and down. But again, all of these will not have any height limit that will go all the way to 255. But you can see here the second tower, the first is 3 blocks, then 5. Your next one over is 3, 5, and 7. And that's going to give you a 40 block range to left, right, down, and of course unlimited to the ceiling. And the maximum that you can get would be a 50 block range, left, right, down, and of course again no height limit. Now to build this, it's going to take quite a few blocks. You're looking at 164 for the max right here for just your full beacon for just one of them. And of course you're going to need a lot more, 244 blocks, if you want to do a full 6 beacon array. By adding these in here, you'll see the difference in the distances by when you place them. Now my suggestion is, if you plan on setting these down to use to, let's say, mine stone, which is like an instant mine on haste 2, you want to make sure that you at least set these down right around Y50 to Y56, somewhere right around in there, because again, the depth that this will go down into the ground is only going to be limited by the actual width that this is going to expand out to. So if you've got the first one, it's only going to go 20, then 30, then 40, then of course the max is 50 blocks down. But again, no height limit. So now we'll go over here and take a look at a way to improve it to get to that 6. And you'll notice here we have a 10 by 11 is what we're going to need. This is strictly a 9 by 9, but to make that into a 10 by 10, it's just a matter of adding more blocks out to it, as you can see here in a moment. And that's going to get you 10, so now you'll be able to place 2 beacons on there. To make that even wider, we're going to need to go another direction. And I'm just going to use iron blocks, as most of us do use iron blocks, because iron blocks are a lot less expensive than your other precious materials. And this is going to get us 4. If you can see here, I'll show you what I mean. By placing the original one that we had, we should get our beam, and we'll get another beam here, here, and here. And now that just expanded it out into a perfect square. To get the last two, we're going to pick either side. It doesn't really matter. You go right ahead again, and you'll add back in here 4 here. And each level below that, you'll add 1 additional to that. So you can add those extra beacons. And that will get you a 10 by 11 platform where you can place all of your beacons up there once you do get all of them. And again, like I said, you can add colors to those too. Multiple colors if you like. Now getting into the beacon effects themselves, when you first pick into one, you'll have all these available, but you can pick whatever one you want, but it's going to take an iron ingot, an emerald ingot, a gold ingot, or even a diamond. And of course, again, most of us are going to use iron ingots to power these. Place your iron ingot in there, click on haste 2. We should get the buff. And there we go, haste number 2. Just make sure you do click on it, otherwise you'll be spending an additional iron bar or gold bar, whatever you're using to get that secondary power. Next one we'll pick is speed. These are your top ones for your top tier. We'll click on it again, make sure we get speed 2. We'll place another bar in there. Click done. You'll see at the top right of the screen, we now have haste 2. We'll go down to jump boost. Now here's where I usually only do 1. And so what I'll do is I'll only put 1 in here for now. I'm not going to click that. I'll click done. We should only get jump boost number 1. And there it is. So we'll come around to the other side. Let's do resistance next. Resistance, of course, we're going to want 2. Put a bar in there. I've already got it clicked. Press done. Next one we want is strength. You'll click strength. Make sure you do click it in here. Put your iron bar in. Should pop up. There we go. So far, speed 2, strength 2, resistance 2, haste 2, and our last one is going to be our regeneration. Now, this is why I only go with 5. I'll take this one out of here. We really don't need it. And I'll come back over here to where my jump boost is. And instead, what I'll do is I'll click on regeneration. And that'll get you all 6 bonuses. Anyway, that's how you power it up. Just make sure that you are using the full beacon array. If you need to come back and take a look and see how I did this, just rewind on there. Also, want to mention this can be done on different levels. Like for example, down here, although you won't be able to get the strength one, you can get the other ones. If you notice here, I can power all 4 of these. It's kind of like this single one right here, only I've added more blocks to ensure that we do get a complete surrounded. And you can actually go through here and pick the top 4. Haste 2, hey, you won't be able to get any of the secondary levels, but you will be able to get, let's say, for example, haste 1, resistance 1, strength and jump boost 1. Now, once you get into a much higher level, you will then be able to go ahead and get into strength. But again, since it's not a full beacon array, you're only going to be able to get the first level. Unless you build a full beacon array like the one you see over there that we did, you will not get the secondary, the haste 2, strength 2, and so forth. Now, here's something that some people probably didn't know is that you can actually use this in the Nether. So let's go take a look at the Nether and see what I've set up in there. And I wanted to make sure I brought this along just in case so people can see. I have a beacon set up in the Nether. You can do the same thing here. The only difference is the blast resistance of the beacon is only 3, so be careful to make sure it is protected from any gas blast, so to speak. But to get this to work in here, you got to make sure that there is nothing above the beacon that would inhibit it from being powered. And what I mean by nothing, I mean it's got to be all the way to bedrock. Once you hit bedrock, you are good to go, and I'll show you an example of what I mean. I've cleared the blocks up here all the way to bedrock, and believe it or not, it powers it right on up. Now, right now, I've already got this set up for strength. If I remove this block and get rid of these guys and place our beacon back in there, actually what we should see, let me let this expire. And now that it's done, we've got our beam going all the way up. We should be able to put our iron bar in there. Select haste. and that'll give us haste 1 in here. Not that you would really need it. You may want to set up beacons for example, not just the haste portion of it, because netherrack is very easy to break, but you may want some resistance. You may want some strength to deal with these pigmen. There are a host of different methods and ways that you can use this inside the nether. But again, just make sure there's nothing blocking the bedrock from your beam, and you'll be just fine. Okay, I wanted to come back to this original one that we had made 6 out of, and it's a 10 by 11. And that is, if you wanted to have jump boost 2, no problem. You come back into where your jump boost was. You want to click on your jump boost 2. Go ahead and make sure you do click that so you do get 2 and credit for it. You'll click that, you'll get your buff, and there it is. And if you do have the 6 beacons and you don't want to go with the way I go with, and that's just 5 with only 1 jump boost or one of the others, then you can come back into their 6th one where you want the regeneration. And if you notice here, you click on it, you get nothing. So you can click any one of these, it really doesn't matter, but make sure that you click the regeneration. So if you click the regeneration, hit power it up, you'll see then you have all the buffs. Then you have jump boost 2, speed 2, strength 2, resistance 2, haste 2, and of course, regeneration. The other thing I wanted to make sure I went over with you again was I mentioned that the distances that these reach, your level 1 is only 20 block range, and that's for the powers that you see listed here. So that means that 20 blocks away, this will no longer be in effect. All the way up to our 50 block range. And that's, of course, down the ground. That's why I mentioned earlier you want to, at least if you're going to be using this below ground, you can go down to level 50 to be safe, and you'll have no problem all the way to ceiling height as far as insta-mining stone. That does not, of course, work for like your minerals, your coal, your iron, your gold, diamonds, and things like that, and also cobblestone. But for insta-mining stone, it is fabulous. It really is. The other thing I want to mention is I set these up, and I said I set my 5 beacon arrays up. But if you set your 6 beacon arrays up, and you've got multiple ones that you want to have on your property, on your site, in your area, then what you want to do is mark down the coordinates of your blocks here, your 2 of your blocks. It's going to overlap by 1, no sweat. You want that. But you want to find your coordinates of one of these blocks, and you can go 100 blocks in that direction and set yourself up with another array like this, and that'll completely cover you for the 100 block range that you have in there. Now, the way I have it set up on a few of my servers that I play on, the 2 servers that I play on, is I've got my beacon arrays. I think I have like 6 of them set up, and they're all 100 blocks from each other, and that gives me a huge, huge range with all of those powers in there. And one other thing I want to mention before I forget, I strongly suggest against this. If you like manual farming like I do, then you definitely don't want to have that speed boost anywhere near your farming. It'll play havoc when you're trying to farm your crops. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on beacons. I hope you found it useful. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a comment below. If you like the video, click the like button. If you would like to subscribe for future videos, I make videos every Wednesday, usually in the evening, and have them edited and out by early Thursday morning, U.S. Pacific time. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week, I'll see you then, guys. Goodbye.